I am so excited to be allowed to broadcast. I should say that Hug Nation is a weekly broadcast in its 16th year. I always do it with a live audience. So if you're here live, thank you for being a part of this current energetic loop. It's on Facebook Live. It is recorded for YouTube, recorded for iTunes. So any time that you're receiving this vibration, you are part of that, the intention. You're part of this process, this gathering, this. I'd like to say that Hug Nation is not about where your feet are at. It's about where your heart is at. So thank you for being here. I would like to say, if you're watching and you're enjoying, share. Did I mention my name is Halcyon? It is a treat to be here. I saw the numbers in the live broadcast spike when I went live and then drop. So apparently the pressure's on to be entertaining. Thank you for everyone who's helped me test in the recent weeks and such, as Facebook has been punishing me for my footloose attempts to dance. It's not actually the dancing, it's the music in the background. So let's just pretend that we're all listening to something groovy right now. But I'm not going to sing it because I've been humbled out of fear. Maybe that's the song. Have I had too much coffee today? That's possible. Anywho, welcome! I think we should get started. I'm Halcyon. Welcome to Hug Nation. Today the topic is cuddle parties, hidden pain, and the need to be different. Today I am influenced, impacted, inspired by a few things that have happened in the last week. I attended a cuddle party, not an official trademarked cuddle party, and I saw the film Jim and Andy, about the making of the Andy Kaufman film and Jim Carrey's experience getting into character with it, and have just been kind of on this ongoing path of radical honesty and introspection and personal growth that just seems to be the inevitable journey that I will be on for the rest of my life. And probably you are on too, which is why we are drawn together in this moment of heart recalibration. Because once you're on that journey, you realize that just like going to the gym, you don't get to a plateau and then be done with the practice. It's an ongoing practice of staying healthy, getting healthier, slipping, maybe losing your footing, getting back on track, helping others, being helped. And so thank you for being a part of this journey with me. So the cuddle party. If you're unfamiliar with a cuddle party, which honestly I was, and I didn't realize how unfamiliar I was with a cuddle party until I attended. I'll be honest, I thought a cuddle party was a little beneath me. You know, a cuddle party? I consider myself pretty worldly in the ways of physical affection, in the ways of hugging. So me going to a cuddle party kind of felt like a Olympian sprinter signing up for a three-legged race. It's like, really? My apologies, I was wrong. There is a big difference between a freaky sex party and a cuddle party. Not in matters of degree, but in massive directions of intention and connection. So there are official trademarked licensed cuddle parties with a set of rules. This was not, but it had some of the traits of it, as well as some additional rules, functions. It happened to be the last one at this location. There's a cool venue called the Bouncing Buddha House. Awesome guy named Chris, who does hugging workshops, hosts these cool events there for years and years, and I've never been. Went for the first time a couple weeks ago to a toga party. But went to this cuddle party because it was the last one. A friend invited me. It just seemed like the right thing to do. And because it made me anxious, and that's a good reason to step into discomfort. So the whole place was filled with futons and cushions, and the general rules are no standing. So once you're inside, other than maneuvering around things or getting to the backyard and things like that, stay low and crawl around. And uh, as silly as that sounded, I thought it was fantastic, and I think that I would actually be very interested in integrating that rule into a future party, because in fact I would make it even more strict. Like this was kind of like try to stay low, don't hang out and stand and have conversations. And I would have been like, if I was gonna integrate this rule, it'd be like no standing, crawl at all times, because there's this energetic intimacy that happens when you're low and you're like, it's like you're all in a blanket fort, or you're all like just casually on a bed, and not on a bed in a sexual, but like you're all hanging out in a bed like on a slumber party, where you're in your jammies and you're you're being your more childlike, innocent self. You're not posturing. You're just you're close to the ground. I can't. I'm still figuring out why was it so significant, but I really felt like it made a big difference. This was a candlelight cuddle, so it was actually very low light, which did I struggle with, because when I would see people across the room and I couldn't tell if I knew them or what they looked like or who they were, although it shouldn't have mattered. I should have just been comfortable saying hello to people. I also couldn't tell how intimate and connected people were, and I didn't want to interrupt people. And so I would find this anxiety feeling as I was in a place of not talking to somebody and not knowing who is across the room. And so there was a number of moments that were these, I will say, beautiful opportunities for me to sit in anxiety. And 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 so I had all sorts of great experiences, great conversations. I was shocked with the number of deep conversations I had with strangers or people that I didn't know before that night. In fact, I had so many that even though I was like, wow, this is such a cool, I bet there's a lot of cool people that I could meet, I kind of felt like I've had, 7 deep conversations, and I still am aware of this anxiety that pops up whenever I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. So maybe that's enough. That's enough lessons. I'm full. I just want to go home and process, which was some of weakness kicking in, and some fear, and some, but maybe just like, okay, class is over, time to do my homework. And one of the things, one of the homework that I left with was that awareness of this anxiety, which isn't news to me. I know that I'm very susceptible to anxiety in new places, in situations when I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. Even if it's like I don't know where I'm supposed to park, or I don't know where I'm supposed to sit, or I don't know where I'm supposed to put my yoga mat, or I don't like that momentary. Even I was visited a friend yesterday, and there was a bunch of cars in front of their house, and I was feeling tired, and I just was like, oh, I don't want to walk into a room full of a bunch of people in a place I don't know, and a bunch of people I don't know, and I don't want to like. I mean, I'm sure it would have been no big deal, and it turned out there wasn't actually anybody there, so it was all this fear and anxiety for nothing. But I was so clearly aware of this physical sensation that I am not healed from, this suffering, this pain that I bring with me in so many situations. And that brings me to connecting it with the Jim Carrey, Andy Kaufman film, which is not the film, which is, I think, Man in the Moon, but it is the film with the behind-the-scenes footage of Jim Carrey getting deeply into character, being as Andy during the entire filming. I highly recommend this documentary. It not only gives a beautiful insight into why Andy Kaufman was such a genius and such a powerful artist beyond a comedian, but the process that Jim Carrey goes through is so beautiful. I mean, you've probably seen videos of him on the red carpet lately where he just sounds like he's either zenned out and egoless or insane or crazy. And there's some scenes in this movie that were so incredible and so beautiful and so like, wow, 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 wow. What did he just say? And a lot of them were when Jim Carrey, the biological being Jim Carrey, was playing Andy Kaufman, deeply in the role of Andy Kaufman, and speaking about Jim Carrey. And he talked about some of the fears of Jim Carrey and some of the way the incentives that Jim Carrey, this popular person, has to act a certain way, and then his needs for approval and his way of dealing with the need to be special by this exaggerated, humorous, over the top behavior that gets this awesome response from people. And he had some comments about how he was afraid that if the sickness in him, the pain and the suffering that caused him to act this way, if he healed from it, he would no longer have access to the creative energy that makes him popular. And I'm paraphrasing and maybe I'm projecting, but I found this to be so profound. And seeing that through Andy Kaufman's journey and through Jim Carrey's journey, these people who used a tool, used a quirk about who they are, turned up the volume on that to become the thing that made them popular and famous and liked. And I know in my journey, I just confessed a bunch of anxieties that I have and a bunch of fears that I am still work through. And I know that in my journey, I cultivated this halcyon persona, this over-the-top, flamboyant creature, in many ways to take certain quirks of mine, turn up the volume on it as a way to be special, as a way to create this thing that is liked, that is that allows me to avoid the fear of insignificance, allows me to avoid the fear of, or the anxiety when I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. And that need to avoid the void so deeply that I'm afraid of peace in some ways, afraid of not being special. And I know that I'm not alone in that. In fact, I would guess that all of us are like that in some way. Jacob Glass used to mention that everyone has a need to be special, and you either act it out as trying to be special better, more than others, or being worse, more damaged. So many people consider their pain or their story or their suffering to be, special in that it's worse than others. And we almost cultivate that because there's this fear of being average or normal, just like everyone else. And I think that it's not like maybe Jim Carrey has hit this point where he now has crossed the line. He no longer needs that. And that's why it's so troubling for people. I know that I remember and forget. I know that I sometimes am so at peace with not being special, and sometimes so have a need to be special, and then sometimes feel so much pressure to maintain being special in the right way and to be sharing, be so aware of the gifts and the blessings and having so much gratitude that feeling like it's the responsibility to be that specialness in the world. And so I mentioned the hidden pain because I think that there is this, whether it's pain or awkwardness or uncertainty or anxiety or guilt or whatever it is, there is this place of darkness that I think many people, whatever it is, whether you're creative, whether you're whatever it is, that you're pushed out of fear, out of revisiting the abyss. And I say without full knowledge, but with a sort of faith that the spiritual path, and I guess I know from moments, from not full time, but in moments of anchorness, of being grounded and remembering my divinity, that abyss isn't actually scary. It's only scary if you're not fully letting go of the ego, if you're not fully letting go of the need to be special or great or better, or not better, but special. But that void actually is the ultimate in release. Surrendering to the void, surrendering to the oneness, surrendering to that, whether you are a rod and cone cell or a bone marrow cell or a fingernail cell or a pink-haired cell or a quiet scientist cell or a loving parent cell or whatever the role is that you play in the cosmic body, being special does not serve the whole. And surrendering actually is the ultimate peace. So, highly recommend that film, Jim and Andy, as a witnessing of this happening in the process of artistic expression. Highly recommend doing a cuddle party as a way of practicing this release. But there's another part of the cuddle party that I wanted to talk about. And that is, in addition to being low to the ground, there is this, there is a consent practice. And where everything that you do, you don't just go and hug some people in greeting. You say, "Can I have a hug?" And you wait for a clear verbal yes. And you are encouraged, strongly encouraged, to say no if you have any question. A maybe is a no, and a no is a no. And a no is not a shutting down. If someone says no, you say, "Thank you for protecting yourself." I think that's what, there's a certain, you say, "Thank you for taking care of yourself." And so there's this aspect of the cuddle party that is intentionally created as a way to confront and sand down and break up the rigidness of that anxiety that I feel, that fear of doing the wrong thing, the fear of offending, the fear of making someone uncomfortable, or being a jerk, or being a pig, or being a cause of Me Too pain in the world. And so this practice of very clear asking with the knowledge that no ask is wrong and no rejection is wrong. It is this very clear communication of desires and boundaries that lets us evolve to a much more healthy and pure and real and honest interaction with other human beings. And the word consent and consent culture is something that I've struggled with, because there's consent to me. I have this associations with kind of with crossing the line and allowing a line to be crossed. And so there's kind of it's not a positive. To me, it has a negative connotation. That isn't to say that it has to be. That's just the way I hear it. So I struggle when people want to make like consent the 11th principle of Burning Man, or talk about consent culture. It seems like it's based on this assumption of we are doing things wrong and we need to move the line back. And as someone who's been so afraid of crossing the line my whole life, it's like, it's been hard. But there's something about this process at the cuddle party that shifted that concept for me. And it's almost like if I was going to throw a party like that, I thought like you could almost have a theme of, it's almost like a gifting party. Like gifting, it's a place to practice gifting, asking, and boundaries. And yes, it's a way of practicing consent, but consent to me has that kind of gatekeeper, gate opener feeling for me. But in this context, you're like, could I have a hug? And if both people want the hug, it's like, I'm so glad you asked. This is an opportunity for me to gift you something, and you to gift me something. Win, win, win. And if you say no, that's like, cool. Now there's no weird story about I wonder, I wonder, I wonder. There's this clarity. The ocean is just glass. as we can go into the next part of our interactions. Maybe we don't interact, or maybe we move apart, but there's this ability to make even the slightest of things a gift. And part of gifting is that recognition that if I don't want it, it's not a gift. So finding a place of communication that allows the gift to be enthusiastically desired, lovingly given, and allows gifting to really take it to the next level of making the tiniest of interactions being these elevations of energy and love in the world. And potentially it could go to, could I rub your back? And one of the things they said, be very clear if you can, as specific as possible. Like, could I give you a back massage from your upper back, medium pressure? And then someone can go, yes, or no, and you can negotiate. Say, no, but I wouldn't mind having my shoulders rubbed. And you say, great. Or finding that place where, like, cool, we found a place to create this gifting +1+1, elevating the magic of the world and our connection, all these things. And sometimes those lines can be very comfortably into the realm of physical intimacy. Different parties have different rules about when that's appropriate or but I just saw all this potential, and I'm speaking to this as a total novice and infant who just like dipped my toe into this cuddle world, and I see why there's people that go to these cuddle parties. Friends of mine like Reed and Reed and Monique, who have travel the world and through these events, teaching people this type of interaction. I'm so glad that I let go of my thought that this type of interaction was kind of a remedial class for people who struggled with interactions. No, it's for people who want to take their interactions to an evolved place, a place that our culture needs right now. This is one of the antidotes or the cures or the paths to human interactions, especially male-female interactions, that is recently been revealed to be so toxic and so much poison and so much just kind of this. We've got this accumulated acceptable darkness that is being purged slowly. And I've had this fear of, like, as we purge all this darkness, will we be so raw? Will we be so, like, after purging all night, will we be so bruised, and will we ever be able to feel right again? And this type of practice, this type of deep, honest communication and expectations, I think is a really beautiful possibility of how we can move forward as a culture. So I encourage anyone when they meet me to ask for whatever it is you like. I will be comfortable saying no or negotiating or enthusiastically saying yes. And I can honestly say that even traces of that type of dynamic has led to some intense, incredible, beautiful connections with people that I never would have gotten to if I held on to my fears, if I let the anxiety of the moment, if I let the awkwardness govern my desire to avoid the possibility of a negative experience. Sure, there's anxiety sometimes, but through that is the expansiveness of the magic of the unknown, or the magic not just of the unknown, but of the flow, of the divine, of love, and the human ego fear keeps that door closed. So, I love you. Thank you. And may I have a hug? Grab yourself by the shoulders wherever you are. And in this moment, be grateful for yourself. Grateful for this body. Grateful for all the experiences, including the feelings of awkwardness and anxiety. All of these grand, dramatic experiences of being a human. And then for a moment, go deeper than that, deeper than our physical body, deeper than the emotions and the thoughts, into this energetic consciousness that flows through us, the love and the light that flows through all beings. And just sinking into that, to the oneness of this cosmic living body. And let us be that single cell, conscious of being a part of the one, as we take 3 deep breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth. On behalf of Grandpa Caleb and all the Love Warriors, happy Hug Nation. I love you. Stay tuned for more Hug Nation. It is holiday season. I celebrate Christmas in my family, and so there's a couple gift-giving things that I wanted to share with you. One is that I encourage everyone to, if you're going to buy gifts, do so locally or from craftspeople. Try to avoid the need to go purchase something from a mall. I mean, we've been trapped into this need, and if you feel the obligation to buy something for someone, you're really losing out on all the fun and the joy of gifting. And it's great to participate in the economy, but especially with the way recent tax laws might be going, the big corporations don't need your dollar as much as the local craftspeople. So please, if you can, buy some jewelry from somebody that you can say to their face, thank you. Even better, make something! I wanted to share an incredibly cool gift that I just got. Every once in a while, somebody will say, hey, can I send you something? And yes, I have a P.O. box or a public email or that people can send me things all the time. And occasionally I'm blown away with how awesome it is. But if you are listening, you won't be able to see this, or maybe you will, in which case I would love lessons on your third eye sight. But this is a drawing that Wendy did. You can see I'm a little naked there, but she said, I meditated and thought about you, and this is what came into my mind, of this glorious pink lion, me meditating, unencumbered by clothing, she said, sitting on a fuzzy pink rug. And I just thought this is so cool. I don't know if you can see from this, but it really looks like me. Oh, there, yeah, that's my penis, which I have to say, considering I don't think I think that's purely a meditative image of a penis, not my actual penis. But I'll take it. Hopefully, Facebook won't punish me for that. It's not even a penis. I'm carrying some egg rolls between my legs. That's all. Okay? It's not a penis. Don't punish me, Facebook, please. I want to give another suggestion. One of my favorite things in the whole world is gardening and plants and bulbs, especially. A bulb can bloom with almost no care. You just give it some light, and it doesn't even need nice soil. But one of my favorite things is amaryllis bulbs. If you've never seen an amaryllis, it's these huge, like, flowers the size of your face. And so you can buy these little kits, and you can give them as gifts, or you can plant them already and give them. And you can, doesn't need to be outside. You can put it on indoors, and watching a bulb go from nothing to stalk to big flower, if you're not someone who has been hit by the gardening bug, watching this life happen is so awesome. In fact, I have this one that's in a kit. It just comes as the bulb ready to bloom. It's got a little thing of soil that you get wet and it expands, and then you put it into a pot and let it go. But it also, this is what it looks like once it starts blooming. And I know if you're listening to this on the podcast, then you don't know what I'm talking about. Imagine an extremely phallic, like 8-inch long stalk with this head, this bulb that's about to just pop. And it's so, I mean, can't you just like feel the energy of this life force that is just like boom? I love it. So I bought this one for myself, and I bought some kits to give. And I just think that if you're not sure what to do as far as a present, this is a way to put a lot of, I think, energy and love into something that's not just a transaction that forces you to go to the mall. I've gone all this time and I haven't talked about Bitcoin? Who else is a little tired of people talking about Bitcoin all the time? Yeah. So I'm just going to a couple thoughts on Bitcoin. And I'll say there's a few elements to the conversation. One is the idea of cryptocurrency and blockchain technology, in which I think that is exciting, and we should continue to be talking about that. Because blockchain technology is a way to disrupt the hierarchical systems that kind of make room for corruption in every institution, in every aspect of a massive system of countries and governments and banking and voting. Everything is susceptible to corruption, and blockchain is a way to free us from that. That's one part. Yes, don't believe the hype, but do believe the hype. The other part of it is the financial investment, the speculation part of it, and that I think is that desire that needs to have a little bit of a chilling, cooling on it. I've been blown away with how many people are giving financial advice because they made a bunch of money, or the money they put into Bitcoin is now worth more on paper. And so they think that they are masters of investment and understand the fluctuations of global economies and things. And I just think like, I mean, maybe, but just like I see people who got so excited about Bernie Sanders or said, I'm not going to vote for, I don't care if Trump wins because I want the system to burn down so we can rebuild. I'm like, look, I get the logic of what your thoughts are, and there's certain things that might even make sense as they're happening, but I don't think you have a historical understanding of the way patterns and power and resources work in a large enough sense to say what you're saying with any sort of confidence. Maybe I consider myself to be pretty ignorant, and yet I feel like I have a lot better understanding of the historical context of speculation, of governments, of coups, of oppression. I mean, these are they're patterns that happen in the world, and yes, you can make a lot of money if you know what the patterns are going to be. But if you think that there's, you know what? God bless you. But be very careful about appearing to be an expert and encouraging friends to invest in things. You know, there's so many people that lost all these money in like gifting circles because friends thought that they were being encouraging and ended up like destroying people's lives and destroying friendships and acquiring like psychic debt. I mean, there are people that I don't know how they will ever pay back the destruction that they wreaked on friends' lives because of encouraging them to dedicate their life savings to things that they really didn't understand what was going on and then didn't have the either honesty or the values or whatever to pay back the money that was basically taken from others. I mean, I know encouraging someone to invest in Bitcoin is not the same thing as putting them in your downline of a pyramid scheme, but it's not entirely different than that. So, So I am massively ignorant in the ways of Bitcoin. I did invest. I put in money into Bitcoin and Litecoin and Ethereum or whatever. And you know what? In 2 weeks, the value of my investment has gone up dramatically. I basically put in money so that I could stop wondering if I should have put in money. I didn't invest any more than I was willing to give away or lose. And in fact, that if you are not a savvy investor, never invest money more than you're comfortable losing. I've seen people say they think that the money's just like they don't comprehend that you could lose it all. Like this is a volatile, markets are volatile. There's sorry, I should not get into any sort of investment stuff, but this happened. I was in a conversation last night with someone who was very upset at a friend that they'd loaned money to, and the same is true. Never loan money to a friend that you wouldn't be okay with if you never got back. Never invest money that you wouldn't be okay losing, especially in a high risk thing. I've talked to somebody who was like trying to get, or not talked. I saw them post. They were trying to get a license for. To be a pot distributor or something like that. And they said, you know what, this is too frustrating. And so we're going to invest all our money into Bitcoin because that's just a much better investment. And I was like, I mean, maybe, but I mean, maybe. I hope you don't think that like, okay, cool, we don't need to save for college anymore. Or we don't need to, invest in real estate or more stable investments because it's just this keeps going up and up. Maybe. I hope my caution is unwarranted and unnecessary, but just be careful, people. And I am someone who is I will be honest, I'm overly cautious with funds. I generally do not buy anything that I don't have money for. I've never bought a new car. I have never bought property. So there's a lot of times when I remember years ago, I had all these friends that bought houses. The value went way up, and I felt like such an idiot. And then the housing market collapsed, and I had all these friends that were upside down in their loans. And I was like, okay, so I guess there's no sure thing. You're never an idiot. You just make decisions as best you can with the risk that you're willing to take. And if something's too good to be true, it often is. I hope everyone makes a ton of money. I hope you have so much money that you can support me on Patreon, which, as I said, till the end of the year, becoming a Patreon supporter at any level, I will send you out some stickers. If you'd like stickers and you don't want to support me on Patreon, you can send me a self-addressed stamped envelope, which the address is available at the bottom of my newsletter, which is at list.hugnation.com. If you don't want to touch me physically or pay-wise at all, but you still want to be supportive, liking and sharing anything that I create, subscribing on YouTube, these are all ways to help me, which is appreciated, not necessary. Having the moment to share with you, knowing that we are all walking this path together, and in doing so, supporting each other through this awkwardness and through the hidden pain, navigating this path of love and light and truth, lifting each other when we stumble. That is the deepest and most priceless present. So thank you for the holiday gifts that overwhelm my joy and gratitude. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. If you enjoy this, share it with a friend, an open-hearted person who might be part of our wonderful collective Hug Nation family.